Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about how to define the future, which is appropriate because this is still the first month of the year. So let us think about today about the future, how to define it, and understand it spiritually and esoterically. And before I get started, I brought with me a copy of the Agni Yoga Quarterly, which this is the January, February, March issue. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but the focus of this quarterly is on the future. So if you don't have a copy of this or haven't seen it, go to our website and you'll see on the menu a whole list of what we have content-wise on the website. And you'll see where it says Agni Yoga Quarterly, and just click on that and it will bring up January, February, March 2026 quarterly, and you can read all about the future. Do not look at the future with fear, nor with expectation of rest. Even if upon our passing we go to Devachan, we will not stay there for eons of time. Look at the future as a beautiful necessity. Just as the stream becomes the ocean, the spirit enters the infinite not to disappear, but to encompass everything. So I was thinking about Devachan. What is Devachan? It's not a word that we normally come across in our day-to-day lives. But in the wisdom teaching, Devachan takes a very important position in the consciousness of the disciple. So what does it mean? We can divide the word into two parts. The first part is Deva, which means shining one. And Chan, Devachan, means abode. Or perhaps even more so, it means in, I-N-N. So what is Devachan? Devachan is a sphere of light that the disciple, through their chalice, travel after they have passed on, and after they have passed through the physical, emotional, and especially the emotional-astral plane, all through the subplanes of the astral plane. Once the disciple goes through those lower spheres, they enter into the light of Devachan. Oftentimes we think, wow, this is really great. But interestingly enough, some disciples decide not to stay there once they arrive. But if you had a difficult incarnation, it's good to spend some time there. And this is why. It gives you an opportunity, first of all, to heal the memories that the physical body and the emotional body and the lower mind went through. Secondly, it gives you, and this is what's so beautiful, it gives you an opportunity to process all the spiritual events in your life, moment by moment to moment, to help you understand and integrate these spiritual moments with the paying of karmic debts, with interaction of co-workers, experiences with your teacher, experiences when you were out of body. So it takes time to process. And while you are in this process, you are also healing. So this takes time for the soul to spend in Devachan. The soul can stay in Devachan for eons of time. for a day, for a moment, a couple of years, but you'll never stay there. You will have to come back. And it is my understanding that it is the advancing disciple that says, thank you for the opportunity, but no, my job is to come back into incarnation to serve humanity and to help humanity to evolve. So where David Sean is part of our future, it's not for eternity. And here's a story. Countless eons ago, so long ago that the stars in the sky were in different positions, there lived a wealthy and learned man named Sumata. Despite his riches, he felt a hollow emptiness, and he realized that birth and old age and death were a cycle that trapped everyone. And he began to search for a way out, not just for himself, but for all beings. He gave away his vast fortune to the poor, and he retreated to the mountains to become a hermit, cultivating immense mental power and inner peace. Now one day, he heard a commotion in a nearby city. The people were sweeping the streets. They were scattering flowers, and they were filling potholes. What is happening? Sumata asked. The Deepankara Buddha is coming, they cried. The enlightened one of this age is arriving today. A thrill of recognition shot through Sumata. He helped to prepare the road. There was a section of the path that was still a muddy swamp, deep and dirty. The Buddha was approaching, and there was no time to fill it with earth or timber. So without hesitation, Sumata threw himself face down into the black mud. He loosened his long hair and spread it out like a mat, making his own body a bridge. Let the enlightened one walk upon me, he thought, so his feet do not touch the mire. As the great Deepankara Buddha arrived, he stopped before the human bridge. He did not walk over Sumata. Instead, he looked down with eyes like deep pools of infinity. He saw not just a hermit in the mud, but the terrifyingly vast potential within him. Do you see this ascetic lying in the mud? He is making a resolve today. He does not wish for happiness in this life, or the next, or even the next. He has vowed to become a Buddha himself. He then looked at Sumata and made a prophecy that rang throughout the cosmos. And this was his prophecy. 4 immense eons and 100,000 cycles of time from now, you will fulfill this vow. You will be reborn in a distant era, in a city called Kalapavastu. You will be known as Shakyamuni, and you will awaken the world. Isn't this beautiful? Yeah, I know, it got me too. Sumata wept with joy. He was not daunted by the 4 immense eons. He did not care that he would have to return as a rabbit, a king, an elephant, and a beggar, enduring millions of births and deaths. He had a destination. The infinity of the future was no longer a terrifying void. It was a promise. Isn't that a great story? It's very inspiring. So let's first begin with the definition of the term future. Almost always, when we take a look at such terminology, the esoteric meaning of a common word brings us to a higher understanding of the word. And in this case, it is absolutely so. So let us begin with the exoteric and then go to the esoteric meaning. With the term future, there are three things to know. Three things. The first thing is the time element. And the second thing is the condition of our life. So the first thing is the time element. The second is the condition of our life in relationship to the future. And then the third point is our beingness in relationship to the future. So the 3 points is the time element, the condition of our life in relationship to the future, and our beingness in relationship to the future. 3 things for us to remember. For 30 years, we talked about having our own mortgage-free sanctuary, White Mountain I'm talking about. This was to be our future. A future where we would have a WMBA sanctuary and land. For us, 30 years was our future. In other words, the coming years are the future. We labored hard to be deserving of such a future, and it was not easy. A small group, so many people discouraged us, said that's a foolish dream, you'll always rent. And to add to that vision, we said that the buildings and the land would be mortgage-free. So that's why it took us 30 years. Imagine 30 years, but we grew into it through inspiration and striving. Many years ago, my spiritual teacher told me in a beautiful private moment, he said, we will be together again in the future. So I would like to say to you today, we will be together again. Who knows when we will meet? Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 50 years, maybe 100 years. This refers to the future. And pausing a moment to think again about David Chan, and if you decide to, as an advancing soul, go into David Chan, you will greet again and be with your co-workers and plan for your next incarnation together. Now, second definition is related to condition. The first I said was time. The second is related to a condition in which we are going to live. For example, we build our future. This means to have a prosperous and happy life. To have a position, and this is an important point, that you're going to have a position that will meet and help you manifest your dreams. That's the second point. And the third point is related to our beingness, to our essence, to our actualization. That is beingness, our actualization. The core, the monad within us, is the future. And the core within this monad is found a prototype. And it is this prototype that our unfolding human soul is striving over its many incarnations to align with and to bring into objectification. This is the prototype that is found within our monad. We could say our monad is the true self. It is what our future is. We could say it is a composite of our future. But we must strive to objectify it. So the future is hidden within us. It is an acorn that is hidden in the soil. The acorn must turn into an oak tree. It must actualize itself. It must become itself. In other words, our soul must become its future. The core seed has all possibilities of unfolding and becoming the vision put within it. So this is why incarnation is so important. Not to stay in Devachan for eternity, but to come back into incarnation to manifest that prototype within the monad, our core seed. So the acorn symbolizes our seed future, the seed future of our human spark. The human spark must actualize itself and be conscious of what it is. This is not so easy. It's easier just to blank out, just to be unconscious, and just to live instinctively until you wake up. Once your soul awakens, then it aspires with intensity, with daring, with courage, with humility, to align itself to that prototype, which leads you to meeting with your master. Once our soul becomes the future, the other definitions, the first and second definitions of the future, are no longer holding our interest because they do not exist in the domain of infinity. The only future which will always actualize toward higher and higher perfection is the core within us. And this is why Agni Yoga teaching particularly talks about the importance of self-perfectment. So the core, our seed core, is beyond all fluctuations, beyond attachments and limitations of the three lower bodies. I've talked in the past about our inner glory, our attainment, the expression of the full glory within us is our future. That is our future. This is such an amazing, to me it is so amazing, it is so beautiful, and this is why the ageless wisdom is so important to find, to strive toward, to find that path, and then to follow that path. Because this is the path of our unfolding human soul and the projection and the actualization of the prototype of our true self. The expression of the full glory within us is the future not related to time, it's not related to form or positions or possessions. This is because to be a future means to have a state of consciousness that is not related to time and space, to the demands of possession and positions related to the three worlds, and the demand to the pairs of opposites. The teaching explains that people of the future can be recognized by seven qualities. This is people our friends, our co-workers, our teachers. The teaching can be recognized by 7 qualities. It is so important to learn and to recognize these 7 qualities. So the first quality is progressive. The teaching is progressive. Our master is progressive. Our day-to-day life must be progressive. Our thinking must be progressive. We want to surround ourselves with co-workers who are progressive, who strive. The second quality of 7 is we're going to strive for freedom. Progressive disciples strive for freedom. The third quality is that we all work for synthesis, interconnectedness, and interdependency. Interdependency. The fourth, for people of the future, they are not slowed down when they come up against hindrances, against karmic obstacles, or when they experience dark attacks. When those dark attacks appear on their path, they are not slowed down. In fact, the psychic energy that they have accumulated helps them push through with understanding the reason behind these dark attacks, the reason behind the hindrances, and they will appreciate and understand the obstacles of karma. That's the fourth principle or quality. The fifth is they are endowed with the power of detachment. The power of detachment. It's one of the more difficult experiences I found, certainly in my younger life, about detachment, because we're so emotionally polarized, astrally polarized, that we want to become what we feel. And that means when we develop a relationship, we want to attach ourselves to that deep feeling we find in that relationship. When we meet our master, we want to become dependent, or our teacher, let's say our teacher with a capital T. We want to become dependent on the teacher because we are becoming dependent on the light of that teacher. But this is interesting. What I found when my teacher passed is that those that were so dependent on his light no longer had the light to enlighten their consciousness because they were attached to his light. So it's very interesting. It is to align ourselves to the greater light, but not to become attached to that greater light, or we will not grow. Our consciousness will not grow. So disciples want to be endowed with the power of detachment. Number 6, they have clarity of thinking. And number 7, the virtue of steadfastness. Those are the 7 qualities. So progressive. These people who are going to be our friends, and people who inspire us, and in that inspiration cause us to aspire toward self-perfectment. So our co-workers are going to have a sense of striving toward greater achievements. They're going to recognize, even if they're 100 years old, they're still striving toward greater achievements. That's the future. Such people steadily improve their thoughts, their expressions, and labor. They are courageous and daring people. The future works for those who work for the future. So be one of those people that works for the future. They have faith. And faith is part of the future. Freedom. They strive for freedom from the limitations of the physical, the emotional, and the lower mental bodies, especially freedom from illusions and glamours and habits and more. Striving for freedom. Synthesis. People of the future work for synthesis. I said synthesis, interconnectedness, and interdependency. They relate all that is available to them in such a way that a completeness of energies is created. A completeness of energies is created containing rhythm, harmony, and melody. This is synthesis. Rhythm, harmony, and melody. Now they're not slowed down. I said this earlier. They're not slowed down when hindrances and karmic obstacles and dark attacks appear on their path. See, this is what makes them, to me, it's what makes them extraordinary human beings. Extraordinary human beings, because they don't let the day-to-day life slow them down, to hinder them. They don't feel victimized when karma crosses the threshold to be paid. When the dark forces try to put them under, it doesn't stop them, because they have a greater understanding in the light of their consciousness, just like Sakyamuni did, of the future, of helping humanity awaken. The enthusiasm and energy of people of the future actually increases. Look at your own life and see if your energy increases when obstacles try to stand on your path. When hindrances make you accelerate your speed of evolution, just become aware of your action to your response instead of to a reaction. You're going to respond and then act. The power of detachment. Such people are detached, but they're not cold and separative in their attachment. You cannot make them become involved in your glamours, in your illusions, in your personality weaknesses or vices. They will have compassion for you and understanding and share their light with you to progressively move ahead. But you see, they're not attaching themselves to your problems. They are detached not only from the traps of other people, but also from, this is very interesting, they're also detached from their own personality traps. So they're standing as pure souls. They radiate love, but they never fuse with the pollution of people around them. They are even detached from their own past limitations. This is really something to think about, because humans tend to be imitators. Think about this. When you're in an environment for a particular period of time, you begin to imitate what's in that environment. You begin to imitate what is around and about you, what you're being exposed to. And when this happens, then you're losing contact with that core seed within that is trying to manifest various aspects of the prototype that is within the monad. People of the future, I said, have the virtue of steadfastness. This means that they are not flickering lights. They are not lukewarm people, but people of strength and steadfastness. When such people promise, they do not change their word. You know, a promise is a promise is a promise. That's just a phrase that I hear say so often. A promise is a promise. Well, I better not promise until I know that I can keep that promise. Such people do not change their word. When they decide, they do. Their dedication is final, and their love is permanent. In the beginning of this morning's talk, I said our human spark, our core seed, has all possibilities of unfolding and becoming the vision put within it. That vision put within it is our prototype. What can we expect from this vision of our future? The vision that is in the core seed of us, within us. What can we expect from this vision? The first thing to know is that this vision encourages us. This is why we meditate every day. This is why we become aware of our thoughts. This is why we try to stay aligned to that greater light within us, like our solar angel, or like those that are exemplifying what our future is going to be. When we align in this way, we become encouraged. Then we become inspired with daring and striving. Our joy increases. It keeps us going in the path of perfection and helps us become better servers. That's what this vision does. It causes integration and integrity in our whole nature. It generates psychic energy within us and uplifts and enlightens us. Here are a couple of ideas from the teaching which I found very helpful. It is about cause and effect. The first point is this. This is so cute. When you plant cucumber seeds, nature gives you cucumbers. In the future, we're going to harvest the fruits of the seeds which we are presently planting or which we planted in the past. So the cucumber story is a metaphor. So think about what kind of seeds we are planting for our future and what we planted in the past, because what we are now, we planted in the past. Yet in the mental plane, this law of cause and effect is somewhat reversed. This is very interesting. I'll read this slowly. In the mental plane, the law of cause and effect is somewhat reversed. We visualize our future, the flowers and the fruits, and it affects and controls our present. It affects and controls our present. Our dreams about our future, our hopes for our future, and our faith in the future changes our thinking, our feeling, our actions. As if the future, through remote control, is operating. Do you see this? People must learn that they can change and control their threefold mechanism through their future, through the vision of that future, and let that vision manifest now. People of the future not only adapt themselves to the conditions of the present, they also have the power to change the present by the vision of the future. See, when I mentioned earlier about White Mountain had this vision, this dream that they wanted a mortgage-free building and land. it was almost written in the wind, so to speak, that people were going to just behind our back say, it's never going to happen. They're too small. They don't have any money. That's stupid thinking. And yet here we are today. Here we are today with this beautiful building, 2 buildings, and a couple of acres of land, and we're debt free. Why? Because we let that vision become the present. Very interesting. If you are a futurist, you feel the power of the future, and you create certain concepts to approach it. We would, for example, use the 7 principles that the teaching so profoundly and repeatedly talks to us about in various ways. These 7 principles are called beauty, goodness, righteousness, joy, freedom, and also striving, and finally, sacrificial service. These 7 principles serve as concepts to plan the future with. Standards of higher achievements are related to the future. Principles are guideposts for the future. A blueprint, our prototype, is related to the future. So the words perfection, improvement, and achievement, those 3 words, perfection, improvement, and achievement, are related to the future. The future is an invisible magnet which evokes striving in each of us, each living form to actualize their inner glory. So in closing, here are some exercises you can experience for the future. The first is, I'll try to speak slowly so you can take it down, is to think about the beauty of your future. Think about Shakyamuni, what he went through to become Shakyamuni. Number 2, try to speak and act inspired by your future, not your failures, not your human weaknesses. Speak about the beauty of your future. Be inspired. Let that vision of your future inspire you and cause you to act as if you are now living in the future. Number 3, contemplate the future of humanity. Number 4, remember your true self, that prototype stored in your monad. Abide in it and do not identify with your inertia and glamours and illusions. And then finally, observe people around you and try to discover those who are oriented toward the future, those who are capable of growing and expanding and being inclusive and are free from their own limitations. To live in the future means to live an efficient, creative life which brings beauty, health, and joy to the world. Thank you.